Good day, everyone. Tim from Timber Visions here today. Today I got some stump grinding to do, but I have not used the stump grinder since last year. So there's something that needs to be done before you use your stump grinder for the first time each year, or the first time that you ever use it. And it's so very important for your safety of your tractor and your stump grinder. So stick with me and I'll go over it with you. So every PTO system needs something to protect the tractor PTO system from sudden stops or whatever. A lot of times there's shear pins, but on this stump grinder, and I think a lot of them, they have a slip clutch, and that's what this thing is right here. Basically, if you look on the inside here, there's a plate, and then two plates. There's like three plates, and then these screws with spring or bolts with springs on them put a certain amount of tension. And how far you tighten that depends on the PTO horsepower of the tractors can be used for this. For this one, I have 39 horsepower, so I'm going to set it at 35. If it slips a little early, I really don't care. I want to protect my PTO. I've seen a lot of videos where guys kill their tractor using this style of stump grinder. That tells me that their slip clutch is not set properly. So not only do you need to set that gap properly, but this is set properly last year. So why do I have to slip this thing? That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to slip this clutch. I'm going to loosen up these bolts and then engage the PTO a couple times to slip it. And the reason you want to do that is because this will like rust itself together. And then it's not set properly. It's actually set for a higher PTO then. So if you read your owner's manual, it will tell you this. And it's very important to do this. Even if, like you do some grinding in the spring and then later in the, it's like fall, it probably is a good idea to slip it again just to protect your tractor. It is a little bit of a pain in the butt because there are a lot of screw or bolts to loosen here, but tractors are expensive. So I'm going to loosen all of these bolts off camera because you don't need to see me do that. And then when I slip it, I'll set you guys up so you can see it slip. Okay, I got you guys set up here so you can kind of see both edges of these. And what you're going to see is the tractor side will start spinning, and then this will slowly start spinning. And then when I shut off the PTO, this will stop, and then this one will keep spinning. And I'm just going to do it a couple times, and it basically just polishes that rust out of there. And then it'll be slipped, as they call it. I think that's what they call it. Anyway, I'll get the tractor started here. We'll hit the PTO a couple times. All right, you see that? It didn't even spin the wheel all the way around. So you see the difference? I hope that's showing up on camera, but that's what you need to do. So that ensures that any rust that is built up in between them plates is kind of polished out of there. And now I'll tighten it back down to the gap of 1.22 inches in between here.
This guy thinking it's a gap and it's actually the spring height. He'll figure it out here in a minute when he actually tries to measure that gap with the calipers and realizes that's unrealistic, and he'll figure it out. It's the spring height.
So I'll tighten all these down until I'm 1.22 inches in between there. And they have it in millimeters too, if you're a metric person. But a set of calipers is very important for this. You can get a cheap set of these at you know, wherever. It's not like I'm machining here, but I need that gap set, because if I set it too tight, this will not slip. If I set it too loose, then it won't grind. It'll grind, but it'll be slipping all the time, and you'll have smoke coming out. When you're grinding, you don't really want to see smoke coming out of there. I mean, you'll see it sometimes if you're hitting it pretty hard, but if you take reasonable bites, it stays together. So I'm gonna tighten these back up and set that gap. I might show you one after it's set, you know, kind of how I measure it. But it's kind of a tedious job, so not something I'm gonna film the entire thing of. Okay, so this isn't, I'm laying on the ground underneath here. So pardon the shaky camera, but I was mistaken. It is not the gap here that I'm measuring. It's the spring height, which is from here to here. You know, basically how far your spring is compressed. That's the 1.22 inches. It's not the gap here. That's my bad. So yeah, your spring height will be higher the lower your PTO is. And they have all of them listed in your manual. And you can do like I just did and go to the website, go to the product, and on every product that Woodland Mills has where you can buy it, they also have the owner's manual in PDF form for you to view. So that is one nice thing about Woodland Mills. So from the top of the spring to the bottom of the spring. So I just basically take my caliper. Where is it? Oh, here it is. So I take my caliper and I set it to 1.22, and then I just set it on there. And see, that one's a little bit shy, but it's pretty dang close. Yeah, it looks pretty good once you get it flat. I don't know if you can see that or not. But yeah, you're just measuring that right there. Hopefully that shows up. I got a lot of glare on my screen, so I hope it works. Anyway, that's what you're measuring right there. Your spring height, not the gap. Sorry for the confusion. Okay, now we got all the boring stuff out of the way, and it's time to grind a stump. This is what we're all here for, right? I wasn't gonna leave you guys hanging and not grind a stump and show you how I do it. There is a couple things I want to go over that I've learned running this. I've had it for like 4 or 5 years now, I can't remember. Early on when I first got it, you know, I would just turn around and look at my stump here, and it worked fine. That was on a subcompact, so it was pretty easy to, you know, just turn around and look down. But even with that, you know, doing a few stumps that way, the next morning I'd wake up and I'd have a hell of a kink in my neck. So what I did was I bought a RV camera, and my first one was like a wired one, because it's a pretty short route from, you know, here into the tractor. But I've upgraded to a wireless one, and it's got a magnetic base, because the first one that I had, you know, where the bolts to attach it, I just put some magnets, you know. So this one is solar, and it's got a magnet base. I mean, you can stick that thing anywhere. But what I do is I stick it under here, and then I point it down where I can see the wheel and the stump in the camera that's mounted on the windshield of my tractor. If you watch my channel for any amount of time and see my tractor, you can always see that little monitor up on the windshield. But that's what I do. And then I just, I can see everything back here. You know, I still turn around, but when I'm going forward and backwards and lining up my next deal, next pass, I watch that. It really saves your neck. Okay, so that's tip number one. And probably more important is the direction in which you grind. So let me get you set up here a little better so you can follow what I'm saying. So you see how the grinder is to the stump now? This is the side of the stump that you want to start on. You want to grind it this way, then come down further and grind it this way. But you always want to start on this side of it, because the way that this spins is spinning this direction, and that helps cut into the stump. If you start over here, then you're cutting onto the stump and pass. So don't start on this side, start on this side. And once again, this is in your owner's manual. Woodland Mills tells you how to do it, but I see so many videos where people will go on the wrong side, or they'll try to just do the whole thing in one shot. I mean, people can do what they want to do, but I like to keep my equipment in decent shape. But I'll get my camera set up and everything, and get things set up, and we'll grind this stump, and you can kind of see how I do it. Okay, so this is what I see from the cab. So you can see the stump right here, and here's my wheel. That's what I mainly worry about, is this area right here. That's where I attack the stump, but it just gives me a view of it without turning my head around and trying to peek through and from above. So I'll get you guys set up so you can watch, and we'll grind the stump. So a lot of times those pull up past, then I can just see it here. Line up over top. There we go. Always engage your PTO at idle. Then we can run it up. And you want to do this slow. Then I'll usually back up, and I'll lower it down. See, I used to raise it up every time before I back up, but then you lose your spot. And you kind of want to, you're not cutting when you go backwards, so never try to cut backwards. But you know, I am kind of skimming where I just cut. But you definitely want to be pretty much straight forward and backwards there. No turning until, you know, we start to work towards the other side. Now we're down to the dirt level. And when it gets bouncy, I just let off. Let it eat for a little while. That's about it. Looks like we got it. All right. Once there was a stump, now there is nothing. So if we kick around in here a little bit, always like to make sure. Yeah, I need to move over here just a little bit because we still got some there. But one more pass there and this one will be done. I just move it over this direction and make another swipe down at dirt level and we'll have it. Now, you can go as deep as the thing will go if you want. This guy basically just wants it flat so he can mow. So, and then also we're going to be taking out some more of the trees out here. So it'd be nice to have a spot where we could throw the branches and I could pick it up with the tractor, you know, without hitting stumps all the time. So, because I don't know, I took a dozen out yesterday and I helped them haul it away. I got the old dump truck here and I helped them haul a bunch of this stuff away. So, but he's got a lot more to do. This used to be a Christmas tree farm. And if you go directly that way is my house. You know, there's trees and then houses on this side of the street and then my house is across the street. So it's pretty close to my house. So didn't have to travel very far with the tractor to get here. So yeah, that is how I grind stumps. And oh, look, I'm not rusty on my wheel anymore. It's nice and polished up. I don't know how well this will show up, but this is kind of what I see in here when I'm grinding on my screen. You can see the stump right there and then the grinder. So then I just lower down a little bit. Grind through and then I back up. And I lower it down again. And keep going back and forth. Hopefully this video was useful for some people. I tried to incorporate a lot of the things that I don't see in other people's stump grinding videos, you know, this style of stump grinder. One other thing that I'd like to note is if you do not have a hydrostatic drive tractor, this is not the grinder for you. Because as you could see, I had to slowly work through there. If you had a clutch or a shuttle shift or something like that, I don't think you could go slow enough for one of these. And I've seen Tony's Tractors Adventures. He tried to do it with one with the shuttle shift, and it did not work out. I mean, I know they have low gearing, but there's a lot of times where I'm just tapping the forward and letting off, tapping the forward, letting off. There are even times when I'm kind of on a hill, or, you know, sometimes the ground, you know, goes up around trees, where I'll actually have to kind of feather the brake and keep gravity from going, making me go too fast. So, I mean, you have to really have some control in your forward and reverse to make this style of grinder work. Now, there are other kinds that they still mount this way to your 3-point, but then they have 2 hydraulics to raise and lower, and this is turned the other direction, 90 degrees from this. And then there's hydraulics that go up and down, and then there's side to side hydraulics. So more like a Vermeer regular stump grinder, except sitting on the back of a tractor. So then you cut like this and work your way in. You got train tracks right here. Anyway, I do want to thank you for stopping and watching my video. Hopefully you got something useful out of this. If you were looking at getting this type of a grinder, some things to keep in mind if you just got one of these, or if you've ran it for a while and you run into some issues, smoke coming out of there and things, that slip clutch is very important. It's a very important part of this system. It protects your tractor. A PTO drive system on a tractor is not a cheap thing to replace. If you've been using one of these and it stalls out your tractor while you're grinding, you don't have that set right, because it would slip. One other thing I wanted to mention is these hinge. So if you're going too fast, then this will lift up. So that's kind of a safety thing too. I think on the newer models, they have a spring there or something. I don't know. This is the model I had. This is the only one they had when I bought it. And it's served me well. I paid for this in stump grinding fees for myself and money that I made using it for other people in the first season that I had it. So if you have a lot of stumps to grind, and you know, somebody gives you a quote for, you know, $3,000 to do all your stumps, you could buy 2 of these for that, I think. At least when I bought mine. I don't know what the prices are on them now, but I think I paid like $1,800 when I bought this. Yeah, it's paid for itself a few times over, at least. So I'm really glad I had it, and I ran this on a subcompact as well. Like I said earlier in the video, you set that gap, or not the gap, but the spring. You set that spring height for the PTO horsepower of whatever tractor's running it. And that little 25 horse, I think, had 18 horse at the PTO. So, you know, that spring was out quite a ways. But yeah, if it got too much, it would slip, you know. If it would hit something hard, it would slip. So yeah, it's, you know, I've had lead pipe wrapped up in here, you know, and it starts slipping. You just hit the PTO, shut it off, get in there and get things cleaned out. But yeah, they're a really good tool to have, handy to have around. So thank you for watching my video. Until next time, be safe, brothers and sisters.